Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Saturday, October the 3rd, race number 11 at Pimlico. It's the Grade 1 $1 million Preakness Stakes. Before we get to the analysis, head on over to drf.com/Preakness for the DRF Preakness Wagering Guide. Preakness, Black-Eyed Susan, great undercard, full card selections, wager recommendations, lots more, all the betting strategies you need to win big at Pimlico on Preakness Saturday. Here's the field for the third jewel of racing's Triple Crown in 2020. And all I can say is 2020. The Preakness is the third jewel in racing's Triple Crown. Download DRF Formulator past performances. They're free, don't you know, at the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them, handicap along with us. The morning line favorite, the Kentucky Derby winner, the horse to beat is the number 9, Authentic.
He is the horse to beat in this race, Dan. Pulled off, I guess, a little bit of a surprise when he got the 10 furlongs in Kentucky. He doesn't really have to face any of the, other bigger names in the division here. There's some new faces, but he gets away from Tiz the Law, and he is the horse to beat with his speed.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector because I think this is going to be a fascinating rider's race in the first quarter mile. Authentic, we know, likes to be on the lead. He's the number 9 Chicklet. Swiss Skydiver, the 4, has good tactical speed. Art Collector, the 3, has good tactical speed. Do you think one of those two horses is going to take the race to Authentic and say, listen, I want Authentic to prove that he can pass a horse or two?
I would like to see them do that, Dan, and I think they'd be wise to do that in this race because if nothing else, when you go back, especially when you go back and watch the Kentucky Derby, they could have denied him the lead in that race. Authentic broke a little bit flat-footed. He did not make the front, and instead of going and trying to take advantage, everybody in that race in the long run through the stretch the first time, they all took a hold and were looking around waiting for Authentic to come and take over. Authentic came and took over, and then they couldn't catch him. I think some of these horses would be wise to take the race to him early.
A horse like New York Traffic outbroke Authentic in the Derby. He was one of the horses that allowed Authentic the lead. I wonder if Art Collector, taking advantage of that inside post, is the one to go and try to make the front. The fast pace should be there, and it should help the number 1 Accession. The problem is we haven't seen Accession since the middle of March, where he ran this race in the Rebel at a giant price. Now, this is a perfect closer's trip. He got a very, very fast pace. He saved every inch of ground. He's coming out with a gigantic look at it, and he's just not as good as Nadal, who was one of the better 3-year-olds before he got hurt. Nadal came out of that race to win one of the divisions of the Arkansas Derby with a 98 Beyer speed figure. Accession missed a lot of time. He had knee chip surgery, I believe. He's going to get a fast pace. I still think he has to prove he's this good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, maybe everything will work out perfectly for him, just like it did in that Rebel that we just watched, and he'll run another fast one. It's been over 200 days since that race, Dan, and I just kind of want to see him do that again.
Mr. Big News is the number 2, and he took advantage of a very fast pace when he won the Oaklawn Stakes over a sloppy track 3 back. Beaten on the square by Art Collector and Swiss Skydiver in the Bluegrass, although you can argue that pace mostly held up. I thought he ran well in the Derby. Gabriel Saez gave him a really nice ride. Trouble Tree, 5 wide bid on the turn, really didn't give any ground to the big 2 in the stretch. If this pace is fast, you can make the argument that this is the horse that benefits the most.
It's certainly possible. I mean, listen, all things considered, he ran well in the Derby. He took a little bit of a bump at the start, was off the pace. He made a wide move around the second turn, and I thought he raced on pretty gamely. I mean, he was never a threat to Authentic or Tiz the Law, but he ran pretty well in there to be third. If he runs another one like that, he's a player in here.
Art Collector missed the Kentucky Derby. He had a foot problem the week of the race. He had to be withdrawn. He is the only horse in this race with 3 triple-digit buyers, all in his last 3 races, all impressive performances, including this race in the Ellis Park Derby. And Brian Hernandez rode this horse like you're supposed to ride a 2-to-5 shot prepping for the Kentucky Derby. He went right to the front. He showed good speed. He kept on going over this overmatched field. And if they want it, I think they could get a similar trip here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it would be different to go to the front and have, Authentic breathing down your neck from the outside. But when they put him on the lead last time in that race we just watched, Dan, it's not like the rest of that field just turned him loose. They knew he was the big favorite. They sort of kept him occupied up there on the pace the entire way. And this horse was too good for them and left that field behind. He's won 5 in a row. 3 of them are very fast races. This is the biggest test to date for this horse.
The 4 Swiss Skydiver is not just a sentimental favorite because she's a filly taking on the boys. She's a legitimate contender in this race. Multiple graded stakes winner this year. She goes to any track. She dances every dance. She handles any distance. She's versatile from a running standpoint. She won the Alabama like it was breaking sticks 2 starts back. And last time out in the Kentucky Oaks, she had a look at it. She got a really nice trip. Tyler had her in behind horses in the pocket. She eased out 3 wide, and she just couldn't get past She Dares the Devil. Were you disappointed she got beat that day?
A little bit. I mean, listen, She Dares the Devil ran a very nice race. You can't take anything away from her. Swiss Skydiver got a good trip, though, and had a shot at it. And you know what, Dan? She was only second best, but she ran well in that race. Her Alabama was obviously good. I mean, go back to the Bluegrass, I guess, and decide what you want to do with her in here because she, had every chance to beat Art Collector that day, and she was really no match for him in the stretch. I guess the question you have to ask yourself is, why is it going to be different this time?
This 5 is 1,000 words, and his Derby dreams were denied because he flipped in the paddock before the race. That's an automatic scratch, according to the Kentucky Racing Commission. He didn't get a chance to play. Unscathed from that incident, he's here in the Preakness. Let's watch his Derby prep, the shared belief last time out at Del Mar. And it was a short field and a really nice ride from Abel Cedillo, who put this horse on the lead. And one of this horse's greatest attributes is his determination. He wins close finishes. He doesn't want to lose. And this was one of the first times he ran a really fast race. He beat a nice horse in Honor AP to boot.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he had all the best of it there, making a relatively easy early lead. But you're right. He was very determined through the stretch. It came back a very fast race. Now we'll get to see if he backs it up because he didn't get to prove it in Kentucky. I don't know, Dan. I'm kind of on the fence with this horse. I like him. I think he's pretty good. I just don't know how much I like him in a race like this.
I think the distance is going to really be good for him. He just, to me, acts like a horse that wants to go long. He has the tactical speed. He went gate to wire last time. Like, he doesn't need the lead to win. He's not getting close to the lead in here. And I kind of like that Baffert's putting blinkers on him again. If you remember in his second lifetime start off the maiden win, they put blinkers on him and he won the Low Sal Futurity. Baffert likes to tinker even when things are going right. Yeah. And it might be right for 1,000 words. I think they gave him a break at just the right time as well. It looked like he was getting sour and he's getting good again. Jesus' team's a cool little horse. He was in for 25 back in May. You and I could have had him for 25. We blew it. He's now come back and he's placed in a couple of graded stakes races, but he just hasn't been able to get over the hump against the likes of Authentic, Pneumatic, Live Your Beast Life. I thought maybe he moved a little soon last time out in the Jim Dandy.
He might have moved a little soon. That's a very good point, Dan. He actually ran well in the Jim Dandy, backing up his Pegasus, which, you know what, was actually pretty good as well. I mean, he was no match for Pneumatic in that Pegasus, but he ran okay, and he was staying out of the end. That's the thing I like most about him is he stays. I feel like he'll get the distance. I just don't know if he's good enough.
New York traffic, we know, is good enough because we saw it in the Haskell. He showed a lot of guts and determination. He chased Authentic from the start, and it looked like he was ready to pack it in at the 3/16 pole. And then he was resurgent. And I think maybe we didn't give him enough credit. We basically said, oh, Authentic doesn't want to go that far. New York traffic, he gave him a battle down to the wire, and he was rated in the Kentucky Derby. He outbroke Authentic. Maybe Horacio Caramanos is going.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he could have had the lead in the Derby, but they didn't take it. They let Authentic take it. And then after that, listen, he got a perfectly fine trip. He sat up there tracking Authentic. He just didn't run his race for whatever. For a horse who had been so consistent, Dan, that was really the first time where he failed to show up with anything for about the final 3/8 of a mile. We'll see if he can rebound.
Max Player, I know, is a horse that you're a very big fan of. I think if the pace is fast, he, along with Mr. Big News, are the 2 best closers in the field. He ran really well in the Belmont, considering the layoff and considering the competition. I thought he ran okay in the Travers, considering that just Tiz the Law wasn't coming back to anybody that day. And Caracara ran a big race as well. And I thought he ran okay in the Derby as well. He was actually running on with a lot of interest at the end of that race.
Yeah, I mean, that's max player. I mean, in every one of his races so far, that's, sort of the race that he runs, Dan. He will just keep coming through the stretch. I feel like the Belmont, the Travers, the Derby, they're all sort of carbon copies of each other. All three times, winding up back off the pace, making runs around the turn, and then staying through the stretch. He never looked like he was going to win any one of those races, but he still ran fine every time. He's got to find a way to break through. This is a horse who needs a breakthrough. I do think he has enough talent to get there.
Despite entering the Derby as a Bob Baffert-trained Grade 1 winner of 4 races from 5 starts, he went into the Derby in the massive shadow of the very talented Tiz the Law. Johnny V gave him a great ride. He didn't break that great. He broke okay, but not on top. And you could tell that Johnny V just wanted to give him the first furlong or two to find his stride. And once Johnny saw that no one else wanted to go, he went. He kept this horse well off of the rail, dropped closer to the inside on the turn. Authentic was very game in the stretch to hold off an extremely talented 3-year-old.
Yeah, he really was, because Tiz the Law got right alongside him at the top of the stretch, and you could tell it was going to be a duel from there, and he just would never let that horse get by him. And he was actually clear under the wire. There were no closers really in that race, but I don't think it really takes away from what Authentic did. He ran a very good race, Dan. There were big questions about how far he wanted to go leading up to the Derby. He proved that he can get a distance.
The 10 Pneumatic, I think, is a sleeper for the Asmussen barn. He hinted at talent in his second lifetime start, going a 2-turn mile at Oaklawn. In the Matt win, I was very surprised to see him contesting the pace. I don't think that's his running style. And I think the Belmont, while he ran a fine 4th, was a situation of too much too soon. Asmussen wisely gave him a confidence booster in the Pegasus last time out. We're going to watch that race. And Pneumatic just was taken to the outside by Joe Bravo, where he could get into no trouble. He inhaled this pace setter at the 5/16 pole, and he holds off the late rally of Jesus's team. I think this horse is getting good at the right time.
I agree with you. You know what, Dan, I don't really have anything to add what you said leading up to this replay that we're showing. I agree with everything you said about this horse. I think he has an awful lot of ability. I like that Asmussen backed off a little bit and gave him that easy win last time. I think he's a player in this race at a price.
Live Your Beast Life completes the field, and Jorge Abreu is one of those underrated trainers. He's done a really good job with Live Your Beast Life, who has really appreciated stretching out in distance. Let's watch the Grade 2 Jim Dandy. I'm interested in your opinion. I thought he ran in spots in this race. He was up close inside early. He was completely outrun on the far turn. He just exited the screen on the far outside, and now he comes and he re-rallies again to get up in front of Jesus's team while finishing second to Mystic Guide. One of these days, this horse is going to put it all together. I just have a feeling this race might be a little tough for him.
I feel the same way about him, but it is worth noting that he's gotten really good this summer for his very underrated trainer. Each of his prior 2 starts, the 2 before that Jim Dandy, he ran really well in both of those races. And then he came right back with another good effort than Jim Dandy. I don't know if he's good enough, Dan. He's going to be a huge price in here, and he's in great form right now.
Top pick time for the Saturday race of the day, the Grade 1 Preakness Stakes at Old Hilltop. I think Authentic's just the best horse in the race. He might have to earn it here. I think they're going to make him work early. I like having Johnny V aboard. I think he's the best. I think he's going to work out a perfect trip with this horse sitting 3rd. And if not 3rd, he's going to go to the front. I think he's dangerous. I'm also very worried about Baffert's other horse. I think 1,000 Words has a lot of upside.
Yeah, he's an interesting horse as well. I'm like you. I sided with Authentic. He doesn't have to win this race, but of the shorter prices, I'm more comfortable taking him than Art Collector or Swiss Skydiver. The other horse for me is Pneumatic. I just feel like this horse could be headed the right way, and if he takes a step forward here, I think he can go with these horses at a price.
9, 10, 3, and 8 for Mike. 9, 5, 2, and 3 for me. I think Mr. Big News's rally in the Derby was no fluke. I think he can come with a run if the pace is fast. It's the Grade 1 Preakness. It's the highlight of a sensational card at Pimlico on Saturday, and it has an approximate post time of 5:36 Eastern. Good luck.